All right. Good morning, everyone, and good evening to Ritu, who is calling us from Canada. Just want to welcome you all to today's second session on Amazon pay-per-click advertising. And we're just going to be looking at some really interesting and useful concepts and strategies today. So I'll just hand it over to Ritu to take us through the next hour.
Yeah, hi. Thank you so much, Jason, for organizing this, such an important kind of meeting where, we all, will kind of spend the next hour or so trying to think about what PPC is and how we can, use it most effectively. Because, I'm sure you've all heard that, Amazon has, become pay to play, right? I mean, you've got to have visibility through ads in order to gain the most important spots on Amazon where there are eyeballs, because those are the most coveted spots, the most important real estate on the Amazon platform. Really, PPC is a kind of cheaty way of getting to the top by just paying, But the thing is that you're paying for visibility, you're paying your way up to visibility without having any kind of you don't even need a very long history of selling in order to get those eyeballs. But I guess the smart seller is one who will know, how to spend their ad dollars wisely, so that they can not only get their, the top spots, but they can do it profitably. And that's the whole goal of being really on top of your PPC strategies, and then also using software in a way that you can actually leverage all the data that Amazon is providing us, because there's a ton of data. And yesterday we were talking about the billboard example, in the past, how billboards were, used to kind of advertise, for these big brands, right? Where there was so much of a gap between the ad and when the results showed. It's very hard to measure, right? From the point of someone seeing an ad to the point of them actually making the purchase. How would you track that? How would you trace that, right? It's extremely hard. But in the Amazon world, in the PPC world, it is extremely easy, because you get data about impressions, how many people saw your ad, you get data about clicks, you get data about sales. So all that amazing data that Amazon is providing has to be kind of usable by us in order to kind of make our ad dollars go a very long way, right? So that's what I meant in the beginning, that it's easy for us to kind of cheat our way to the top, pay our way to visibility, but then we want to do it profitably. And that's what the whole idea of PPC optimization is, and the idea behind all these software companies, including ours. So for those of you who don't know PPC Ninja, we are a software as a service provider. We started in our own kind of 8-figure brand on Amazon. So we're an electronics company above the PPC Ninja brand that has been selling on Amazon since I think more than 10 years now. And so very successful, top-rated seller on Amazon. So we created PPC Ninja for our own reasons, just to help ourselves manage PPC. And it was a very important, and it still is a very important part of our overall marketing strategy, to run profitable ads, and not only run ads that are profitable, but then use ads as a way to kind of set the flywheel in motion, so that we get more and more organic sales over time, right? So, and then one of the things that we are very clear about that we don't do is any kind of black hat stuff. Like, we don't do any kind of, you guys know what I mean. So we don't do that, and we use PPC as the way for us to kind of gain visibility, and for us to get any new product launches kind of going fast. So today I'm going to share a little bit about what the PPC Ninja tool does and what it's capable of. But before that, let me just do a quick summary of yesterday for those of you who weren't here, and so that will give you some context. And then I also have a follow-up question that came from yesterday's group. So let me just share my screen and jump right in. All right. Okay. So yeah. So I guess let me just show you really quickly. This is the slide that I wanted to show you. If you weren't here yesterday, this will help you. So we talked yesterday about the Amazon sales funnel, and we talked about how we can actually convert people, or basically traffic, into our own our own shoppers, like they purchase from us. So the sales funnels that are available to us are of multiple types. For example, keyword funnels, or product funnels, or entire category funnels, and also funnels that exist off Amazon, which means like in blogs or on news sites like CNN, BBC. There are ad placements that you will see for Amazon products that can lead people back to Amazon. And those are called sponsored display ads. So we have, at our disposal, we have access to a lot of different ad types. And we talked about some of the different ad types yesterday. We talked about how when you launch a new product, I generally tend to start with 15 different campaigns, and each of them doing different things. And the reason is because we want to capture all the ground that's available. Any kind of weak effort to start PPC can backfire. It might take off if your product is really good and it's like one of a kind, or let's say it's in great demand. Then maybe your product gets launches with just maybe one auto campaign. Who knows? But generally speaking, for most of us, we need to make a lot of effort to get visibility, and we want to spread our risks in a sense. We don't want to just focus on one ad type. We want to expose ourselves to many placements, and we kind of want to do it pretty coordinated, like in the sense that we don't want to let too much time slip by between setting up one ad campaign and the next, because Amazon only gives us like 14 days or 30 days to make an impression, right? So they're watching it. You must have heard the term honeymoon period. So there's the first 14 days after your product goes live until you start getting some visibility in terms of reviews even. So those 14 days, you have to put kind of all your effort into making sure that, giving it your best shot in a sense. So that's why I tend to launch my products with a bang, with lots and lots of different ad types, so that I can get my chances up to succeed. So having said that, I actually showed an example yesterday of Pepsi and Coca-Cola, which I'm going to show you again. So here is the Amazon search results page. So I typed Coca-Cola here, and at the very top, I see this sponsored brand ad for Coca-Cola. But just below that, I see 4 ads for, 3 ads for Pepsi and 1 for Cola, right? So this is kind of sad, because if someone is looking for a product and they don't see that product, it just means that there is a chance that someone might pick an alternative, right? Especially if there's a better deal. Let's say these packages are always cheaper, right? So if someone was just looking for one type of product, maybe they see a bundle by another competitor, and they might get enticed into that route and leave the interest they originally came with to your kind of the search that they originally made, right? So that's one of the dangers of having these different ads showing up at the top, right? So now let's look at Pepsi, right? When I look at Pepsi, I see the sponsored brand ad that's talking about Pepsi, and then all I see on this page is just Pepsi. I see 4 sponsored ads, all for Pepsi, and there's 4 organic listings, and then another video ad by Pepsi, and so on. So you can see how the whole brand comes across as really strong, right? And so you don't have any chance for distraction on this page. So, based on that, we got a question from yesterday, which I'll just show you guys. Okay, so this was the question. So Ritu came up with the Pepsi example where they were running ads on their own Pepsi keywords, right? So they were targeting their own keyword in the search results. And this is where we witnessed Pepsi's monopolizing Pepsi searches, ads included, yes. So this was in contrast to Coke, where we saw non-Coke ads trying to draw customer eyeballs towards their non-Coke products. True. Now, if there was no one else advertising on the Pepsi keyword, right? So no one else is advertising on that keyword except for Pepsi themselves, why would they want to continue with this advertising campaign? I think it would be a waste of ad spend or not. Is there any advantage in doing so? So here the question is, it's like a very good question because most people will try to save money as much as possible, right? It's a very competitive market. Obviously, if you see that, if there isn't much point in advertising for a certain keyword, then you might think, okay, let me just not, right, and save my money. However, in this case, especially because Pepsi and Coke have always had that war, it's very important for them to bid on their own keywords, because if they don't, then those spots will have to be filled by Amazon somehow. That's the way it is. Like Amazon has already reserved the space for ads, right? Like today there's 3 ads showing, right? Yesterday there were 4 ads showing. So they want to make this thing above the fold just ads, which is why, like I said in the beginning, Amazon has become a pay to play. So you want to play on Amazon's platform, you've got to pay. So if not your ad, then someone else's ad will be shown, because Amazon is obliged to fill those spots with something, right? So what else could show up here? Do you know that auto campaigns, they're pretty broad, right? They will pick up similar products or similar words even. So let's say Pepsi did not have, if they were not targeting the word Pepsi, then what would happen is that these 3 spots would be filled up by an auto campaign, because an auto campaign always is hungry to show something, right? So they're obliged to find something that's related or similar. They will substitute that and they would put that there. So whatever you do, that spot is going to be an ad. So might as well be your ad. Now, the second thing I want to mention is we tend to be afraid that, if we spend money on showing these ads, that it's going to be expensive. But just keep in mind that this is CPC, which stands for cost per click. You only get charged when someone actually clicks on it, which means they have an intention to buy, right? So you want to capture that intention and let them into your funnel. You're not getting charged 3 times here, because let's say you were Pepsi and you had 3 ads on this page. You're not getting charged till someone clicks on it. So it doesn't matter, right? So it basically means that it is a good idea to not only bid on your own keywords, but also to bid on other keywords, like other as in competitor keywords, so that you take up their spaces. If they're being careless about it, you take up their spaces. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense, Ritu. But can I just chime in here? I think, can I qualify that what you're saying would only make sense in a very competitive keyword, for very competitive keywords. So let's say let's say we are playing in very uncompetitive keywords, then it really doesn't make sense, because let's say if, for example, it was like coffin shelf, and no one was really targeting the keyword coffin shelf for ads, and my listing is already on page 1 and listing number 1, and when I go to that, when I search the keyword, no ads come up, then in this uncompetitive space, then what you say doesn't really apply.
Maybe I
Yeah,
jump
great.
in here because I
Yeah, sure,
run
absolutely,
such
Jason.
campaigns quite a bit. So for some of my products, that's the situation, Alvin. Like let's say like coffin shelf, right? And you show up as organic position 1. I still would run an ad because I love it when I see, for example, on the mobile app where most people shop, more than 70%. I occupy the sponsored brand position 1, the banner ad. So that's right at the top. Then the first sponsored ad position, it's also my product. And then the next one down is the organic, the same listing organically. It's also my product. So what happens is I occupy the entire above the fold area, including scrolling down slightly. Why do I want to do that? Because that increases my odds of the customer ending up choosing my product much more than if I only occupied my organic listing only occupied 1/3 of the screen space versus occupying 150 or 200% of the screen space. So the above the fold plus the next 100% above the fold. Yeah.
So this is from your experience that you see running without ad and with ad, you see that there is a tangible difference in terms of conversion rates, even if no one else is advertising.
Yeah. And I think it's not even just the measurable conversions, it's also psychologically, I'm trying to sync my product and my brand into the customer psyche.
Okay. All
for
right.
the long run. Yep.
And the upside of it is that the PPC cost shouldn't be that high, right? Because it is very
Yep. So if nobody's targeting those keywords or those targets, then you should be able to bid pretty low.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
Cool.
Yeah, that's great. That's a great example. And so I think with that said, we can move on to the topics for today. Let me just switch back to my screen. All right. So now we're going to talk a little bit about the software, right? We're going to talk about how we can combine strategy with software, right? So yesterday we talked about different strategies of targeting your own product or targeting something else in your catalog, things like that. And so today we're going to talk about the software and how we can combine these two and really have a good result, right, with PPC. So one of the reasons why people use software compared to just using Amazon Seller Central is that you get efficiency. We don't want efficiency just for efficiency's sake, but we want efficiency because we want to do stuff with it. We want to be able to scale in a way that Seller Central doesn't really allow us to, because there's too many steps or too much clunkiness in the UI that can prevent us from doing things. It might deter us from doing certain things fast. So we're going to look at how software can really help us there. And especially I'm going to share a little bit of PPC Ninja and give you a little bit of a demo of how PPC Ninja tackles some of these issues. So there's actually 3 ways that I want to share how PPC Ninja can help advertisers who are at different stages in their journey. All right, so not everyone here may understand PPC fully or be an expert or consider themselves to be an expert. Like Jason is an advanced user, so there are certain things that are great for Jason in our UI, whereas for someone who's just maybe starting out, you probably need more support, right? You need the software to do more than you are able to do. So there's that balance there. So there's 3 ways we are offering people to use or interact with our software. The first way is a way where you can build your own queries, and basically all the data that comes from Amazon is all collated within the PPC Ninja interface. And then it's up to you to go and examine that data in different ways. And we provide you lots of tools in order to examine your data in different ways, slicing and dicing your data in different into different segments and then working with those. So that's one way. And I think this is great for someone who is intermediate level to advanced level, who knows what they're doing with their PPC. So for someone who knows a little bit, but not everything, like they are not very familiar with all the different tactics that are out there, we have pre-created query views, which means that we've already created certain views in our UI, which allow you to do things half as fast, or let me say that half of the work is done for you, so you can do the rest, and you can be very efficient. And for someone who is maybe pressed for time, or who doesn't have the the insight into looking into the data and finding gems there, or discovering problems there, or troubleshooting where the problems are, for them we have automated solutions, which means we give you a weekly we publish recommendations for changing your bids, so you can increase or decrease based on our recommendations. And weekly we also publish new keywords that we discovered from your own data. So looking at your buyer search terms, we discover those and we present them to you to add to the system. So everything you change on PPC Ninja gets synced up with Amazon within a couple of minutes. So it's very fast, and you don't need to actually do anything more beyond that. So those are the three ways in which you can interact with our software. And then the fourth thing I want to mention, which applies to everyone, is that you can do bulk operations. So bulk operations are ways in which you can impact more than one entity. So let's say you want to impact 5 campaigns or 100 campaigns or 200 campaigns in one go. You can do it through a bulk operation. So let's say you want to change the budget on 5 campaigns from $1,000 for Prime Day, you maybe bumped it up, and then tomorrow you want to switch it back to $50 or $100. You can do a bulk operation to change the budgets very quickly. So that's one example. Another example could be that you want to change the bids of all the keywords that were above a certain ACoS. And this is regardless of which campaign they were under. This is for like the entire set of keywords, regardless of where they were. If they meet a certain criteria, you can find that criteria and you can apply a bulk operation and you're done. So it's like very fast. So anyone can use bulk operations. And I'm sure that all of you have used some sort of bulk operations in some capacity. So now I'm going to show you the actual software and give you examples of how we can do these things. All right, so let's jump into the software. So this is the PPC Ninja interface, and the first thing you see is these charts, which give you a 10,000 foot view, not $10,000, 10,000 foot view of what's going on in your account. And this is highly interactive. So if you just want to look at, let's say, units sold, there is some movement here because of Prime Day. So you can see that there's a jump here. So now my curiosity is saying, oh, okay, so is it above the pre-COVID days or is it not, as much? So I can switch this to a year-to-date view. And so I can see the whole chart in one go. And then I can compare, wow, this has actually touched the peak of COVID, like whatever happened on Prime Day today and yesterday has reached the peak of COVID. So, which is like, I guess, April, May timeframe, right? So this is really amazing for quickly taking stock of what's going on in your account, what happened like a year ago, what happened a month ago, and so on. So you have date ranges here that are very flexible and very fast. Then you can layer this on with, okay, I had these units sold, but how about my ACoS? So I'm gonna switch to the ACoS view. And that's going to be better if I do a 60-day view to see how these two worked together. So now that I can see how my ACoS is moving. Now this is a little bit noisy, so you can aggregate on week. So this will give you a smoother curve. So now you can see that my units held up, but my ACOS was kind of trending up towards recent times, especially, you know, before Prime Day, people are just clicking around. They're not buying, they're just holding on. So that's where this bump is coming from. So we also have a monthly aggregation. If you have a very long period of time, let's say 2 years, it looks really cool to see how things trended over time. So these are good ways of checking your data and making sure that you can see what's going on. Other different metrics also, like impressions. Obviously, yesterday Prime Day gave you lots and lots of impressions, and you know, so those are things you can measure from here. All right, with that said, let's look at the slicing and dicing and the querying abilities of PPC Ninja. So here is my campaigns view. So this has the campaigns view, very similar to Campaign Manager on Seller Central. You have the list of all campaigns. However, there are some fields that are pretty unique to us. We have included things like top of search placement, or bidding strategy, or product placement. So now you can see these campaigns have this ACOS. One more thing that's really good, and I think Jason loves it too, this is the conversion rate, right? So the conversion rate is a really good metric, and Amazon unfortunately does not provide it. So this gives you you calculate conversion rates by dividing the number of clicks to the number of orders, right? So that's your conversion rate. How many clicks were needed to create how many orders? So a conversion rate of 10% is considered good, right? Did I say it the other way around? Yeah, I think I said it the other way around. It's the number of sales divided by the number of clicks. So that gives you 10%, right? If it's, yeah. So the conversion rate is very easy to kind of eyeball. If you click on the header, it shows you the best conversion rates going down. So now I know that this campaign is so good that if I throw money at it, it's going to convert because it has converted for 1 month. I could even stretch this out to 90 days to confirm my hypotheses that this is one campaign that I don't want to be constraining on the budget. I want to make sure that the budget is high enough because it's proven to be a high converting campaign. Whereas on the other side, if I reduce this to, or I sort ascending, and then I put a filter here for greater than 0 for, you know, campaigns that didn't convert at all. So that's greater than 0 conversion rate. Now I see that there are some campaigns that have a very poor conversion rate, right? So these guys, you want to make sure that you don't bid, or you don't have very high budgets, because, you know, you might be spending a lot of money, throwing money at them, but they still don't convert, right? So that's the way you can, an expert can look at that and say, oh, this is what I need to do, right? So we're making it easy for you guys to become experts because you have access to all these things, and you can layer them side by side and see. You can basically play with your data and see, okay, what happened there, or what, you know. So that's how this kind of querying really helps. Now, one interesting one is the chart. The chart is the same chart that you saw at the account level. We provide those charts at every campaign level. So you can just click on this and look at the campaign and see how it's performing, right? Is it a recent change that happened, or was it something that happened in the past? How are the impressions doing? Let's see. Okay, the impressions are doing fine recently, but not in the past, and so on. So there's many ways to examine your campaigns in this view, and you know, find out more about what needs to be done. Of course, there's sales figures and spend figures and other usual ones. So now let me show you how you can apply bulk operations with this view, right? So let's say if I want to find all my campaigns that had an ACOS greater than 50%, which is very undesirable for me. So I would like to make a bulk operation here. So the bulk operation is operated by this checkbox right up at the top. So you select that, and then you have an actions drop down. Now the actions drop down has all your bulk operations. So what can you do? You can set a budget. So for this criteria, which I just set, ACoS greater than 50, you can set a budget and it'll apply to all those campaigns in one go. Set the budget to something, or increase the budget by 1% or decrease the budget by 1%. You could enable a campaign that's paused. You could pause a campaign that's enabled, or even archive if the ACoS is really bad. You could set top of search adjustments, which is placement modifiers. In case you don't know about it, don't worry. It's an advanced tactic that allows you to bid more on certain placements like top of search. Or you could set a product page adjustment, which is again another kind of extra bidding modifier that you can apply on a product page placement. Or you could adjust the bidding strategy, and there's 3 types of bidding strategies. There is dynamic down, there is dynamic up and down, and there is fixed. And I'm sure all of you know these 3 because when you're setting up a campaign, there is a box where Amazon asks you what's the bidding strategy you would like to apply. By default, it is down only, but if a campaign is doing really well with lots of room to grow, I usually tend to change that to dynamic up and down because I have a chance to win more conversions, and I want to do that. So that's when the advanced mindset comes in. Like, you want to take advantage of whatever opportunities you can see in your data. So, so for that, let me show you that actually. So let's say I'm going to change my controls here to say ACoS less than 10%, all right? So I found a handful of campaigns that had really good ACoS. And here, let's pretend that this was a down and the rest were up and down. So now I'm gonna show you, you can apply the bulk operation to set this adjust bidding strategy to up and down. So you submit, and then it changes it for all. So a little bit, I just showed you for one, but imagine if this was a long list of campaigns and you just found the gems there, you could just apply this and it's set for across everything. And in 2 or 3 minutes, it gets synced up. So, so this is the campaigns view, and you have similar kind of controls in the keywords view. The keywords view is, we've tried to keep the UI very consistent so that no matter where you go, you have the same experience. Like you can see, you can move your columns around, put them side by side when you want to examine what's going on. And then you can set up to 2 filters here, greater than something, and or greater than, less than, whatever you want. So a combination of the 2 for every column so that you can find gems hidden in your data. So again, I want to also mention that we have a keywords view and you have a bid change history view right into your keyword data. And this is something that you will not see anywhere on Seller Central. In fact, I don't know of any other tool that has this data, but this is really, really useful for troubleshooting when you don't remember when was the last time you changed the bid on a keyword. So the good thing is that you can see it on a graph. So like, look at this keyword, it's changed bids multiple times. It was at 60, went to 61, 71, and now at 80. So with this kind of movement, you can examine, okay, if this is what I did, what happened to my CPCs? Did they remain the same or did they change? So you can do that sort of analysis at every keyword, and you can make the right decision. Sometimes we end up killing a keyword by bidding too low and then it dies. Like after that, it doesn't even recover. So you can find that by looking at the keyword charts right here at the keywords.
Wow, that's actually really, really useful. For those of you who might not have been selling a while, sometimes like for me, I've been selling since 2013. Sometimes you might not realize like one of your campaigns or a keyword just stops, the sales just dry up from the ad campaigns, and it might be because you dropped the bid like to a certain point and it fell off a cliff. With Amazon, you can't trace, well, you can, but it's very tedious because you have to download the reports like 60 days at a time. And if you didn't download every 60 days or 30 days diligently, the data will be lost forever. But PPC Ninja, once it syncs to your account, it keeps the data forever. Yep.
Wow. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So yeah, I actually discovered, like, after we put this new feature in place, I discovered many keywords that had died because of changes to bids. And then I was able to do this thing of, oh, let me go back in time and see when did it actually perform, and let me try to replicate back to that same bid and try to get the conversions back up. And I was able to recover some keywords like that. So this is actually really, really useful to be able to do and to go back in time and see it. So all this that I just explained, maybe it might sound like, oh, this is very kind of, you need a lot of understanding of PPC in order to operate all this. But don't worry, because if you're just starting out, or you have some basic understanding of PPC, like I said, we've also created views on the left side that help you to achieve your goals very quickly without even putting all these, without doing anything in a global sort of way. So what are these examples of things that we can help you do? We have the discover keywords, which is a way that you can add keywords that we've discovered from your search term report. So here's the search term report. And as Jason was saying, you've got to download that report from Amazon and then they don't give you anything more than 60 days worth of data, and then it disappears. But once you sync up, this search term report is always up to date. So you don't even have to go to Amazon to download that report. It's right here, and it's always going to be here for as long as you're with PPC Ninja. And even if you leave PPC Ninja, we have an export button here, so you can take your data with you. So you export it, and it converts to an Excel file, and it just goes with you. So that search term report can help you look for buyer search terms. So search term report, as you all know, is the place you go to look for buyer search terms that were that match to your keyword, right? So keyword and search terms, they're two different things. Buyer search terms are the things that people actually type, and keywords are the thing you advertise on, and Amazon provides that information side by side, right? So when you are able to see that conversion, you can do fun things like, let's see, one thing you could do maybe is orders. Yeah, okay, so you could say anything that had more than like 5 orders, I want to be able to extract that those searches, and then create a manual campaign with them, right? So that's, let's say, an auto campaign generated a lot of keywords that are potential keywords. So you extract them and put them into manual campaigns. So you could do that as an expert here, or you could just go to our discover keywords view. So we've already done that work for you. We found all the good keywords that converted, and we've checked that those keywords are not already being advertised in any campaign that contains that product. So it eliminates all the extra work that you need to do to find unique keywords that are not already being advertised, right? That's huge, because this job is actually, it's a perpetual job. Like, you always have to keep looking for new keywords that are converting, right? And so it can be a lot of work if you have to every time go and see, was I already advertising this or not? No need to do that. It's already checked, and we've given you only the ones that are not included in your list. And so from here, we allow you to quickly add that keyword into whichever campaign you like. And you have a choice of either using our suggested campaign, or if you want to create, have it move to a different campaign or even a different ad group, you could do that. And by default, we provide you with the bid that it converted at, which means the cost per click. Right here, you see the cost per click. So the cost per click is by default the exact match bid that we provide for you, but you can change it if you like. You want to lower it, you could lower it, and then say submit. if you have any questions about these things that I'm sharing, feel free to unmute or put your questions in the chat. So I'm just showing you ways in which, how software can help you save time where you don't have to do any of that stuff yourself. All right, so now we also provide bleeding search terms, right? Bleeding search terms are terms that have clicks and zero sales. So sometimes, people want to block these because they're annoying, right? That there's lots and lots of clicks and zero sales. And then, what we do here is we allow you to select those and add them as negative keywords at the ad group level or at the campaign level. So again, this is half your job done. Like we've already found everything and presented it to you in the manage bleeding search terms view. And then you just go and add them to whichever campaign you like, right? So, so that was the second way in which, PPC Ninja can help you. And let's say you're absolutely new and you just don't know what to do or how to manipulate your data, you want more help, then you go for the automated option, right? So the automated option is the bidding engine, which actually this is a new version. We're about to release this soon, but I'm going to show this to you. So in the bidding engine, we provide you with, so the old bid and the new bid, you can accept these in bulk. Like you can say accept, select all the 120 rows, everything, and just say accept, done. One step for accepting everything. But again, if someone wants to examine further and they want to, see whether these keywords are actually worth bidding up or down, then you can do one by one or multiple at a time. You might say, okay, these look good, these look good. So just for these selected ones, accept all, right? So that's the expert level will come in and be able to figure out what to do. So like I said, the easiest way is to select everything and then just put a accept or a complete reject, and then just let it be. So in the reasons, there are 3 reasons we provide. One reason is clicks and no sales, which means it's just bleeding you money. The other reason is ACoS above target, right? Which means, again, it's unprofitable. And then ACoS below target, which means you have an opportunity, right? The opportunity is that you can get more of the market share by increasing your bid just a little bit. So you could also do this just for one type. Like you can say, okay, I don't care about the opportunity thing. I just want to make the bleeding stop, right? So you could just say, just show me the clicks, no sales recommendations, and I'll just apply those, right? That's what I do sometimes. I'm like, okay, I'm fine with the, the below ACoS suggestions, but at least I want to make sure that the clicks, no sales needs to be addressed right away.
95.
Sorry. Okay. So, so that's basically the different ways in which you can use PPC Ninja. I know there's lots and lots of features, and I could go on and on, but there's like a stop here. So I will stop the demo and maybe just take questions. Jason, you can let me know how to proceed here.
Okay, so there are a couple of questions. So Mabel asks, the Discover Keywords page or tab, are they based on data obtained from Ninja users, or where is the data from?
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is coming from your search term report, so your specific data.
Yep. All the data is from your own ad campaigns. For Mabel and Ben, you both asked similar questions. So that's why it's important to set, whenever you have a new listing or product on Amazon, it's important that you set up the campaigns well or effectively. So like for me, I'm very similar to Ritu. I also set up about definitely more than 10 campaigns, usually 12 to 18 campaigns per listing once it starts. And the reason for that is we want to cast a very wide net or a very wide mouth funnel so that we can capture as much data as possible. in terms of customer search terms that customers are using, as well as different product targets like complement substitutes that might lead to sales. And then from there, the wider your net, the more data you'll capture. And that's where you'll be able to apply effective analysis of that data in order to scale your sales more efficiently. So if you don't do that initial data mining setup in terms of ad campaigns well, you will always be like fighting an uphill battle. You'll always be wondering like, why isn't this thing working? But if you do it well, you will discover potentially tons, dozens or even hundreds of different new keyword search terms, new product targets on an ongoing basis. Yep. Cheetah has a question. He says, I see you can add discover keywords to an existing campaign. Are we able to add it to a new campaign, or will we have to create a new campaign on Amazon and then add those keywords in? So does PPC Ninja allow creation of new campaigns in the interface?
Yeah, so great question. So here is the create campaign option. So you can create campaigns from here. Just like you can create an Amazon, you can create auto campaigns, manual product targeting, manual category targeting. So this is covered. But I think your specific question was that from the keywords view, can we, quickly create a campaign out of whatever keywords we discovered, right? So I can show you how you can do it with the keywords view. So it's just loading. Give me a second. Yeah, let me just refresh this.
Hi, Ritu. Yeah, so I was playing around with the create campaign this morning. I was actually preparing to create campaigns for my new listing, but it seems like because my product is not in stock yet, so PPC Ninja doesn't retrieve that ASIN.
Got it.
Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know that there is a way to do that, and I'll show it to you in a second. So I'm going to answer this question that you just said. So with multiple keywords that meet certain criteria, so let's say you did some criteria, and you can say create new campaigns with selected keywords. So this will allow you to create a new manual targeting campaign right from the keywords view. And then to answer your other question, if you don't have a product that's already been advertised, then you can go to this green button here, and then you can add your product here in PPC Ninja. The only thing there is that you'll have to wait a little bit for it to show up in order to run the campaign. So that's the only thing, but it will show up eventually. So you put a display name, whatever you want to call it, you put the ASIN and whatever the SKU is, and then submit. And then you can create the campaign once it starts to show up. The place to see where it shows up or not is in the create campaign view. You go to the product details and you find that product. If it shows up, then you're ready to advertise. If it doesn't show up, just wait a little bit and it'll show up in a few hours.
Okay. Harvey has another question. So it says, any criteria in the keywords to target? For example, only targeting keywords with more than 1,000 searches. Maybe I'll answer this first and Ritu can add on, because I'm fairly new to using PPC Ninja myself. So the criteria to target, that's depending on whether you want to use the bid engine or the what's provided, or you can look at stuff yourself. So for me, I like to use the conversion rate. So I'll set like conversion rate above equal to or more than 10%. And then I also set like orders 3 or more, so that it's not, just to make sure it's not an outlier. Then from there, that essentially provides me a short list of the high conversion product or keyword targets that also have proven sales record of at least 3 conversions. So that's how, that's what I do. Yep.
So Harvey, within PPC Ninja, the simple formula we use is at least 2 conversions for it to be considered for adding as a new keyword. So if there are 2 conversions, then it's not just a chance. So at least 2, basically 2 or more than 2. Then it's not just a fluke. It, like as Jason said, it's not an outlier. And so we highlight those for you, and then you can decide whether you want to add them or not.
Okay, I think I sort of interpreted possibly Harvey's question. So maybe your question is, how do you come up with the initial list of keywords to target? In terms of, do you look like maybe using Helium 10 for keywords that have at least 1,000 searches?
Got it. Yeah, I think that's a great question. So definitely it's relative to the kind of keywords we're talking about, because even 1,000 searches might be, it might be too low. And actually that keyword, let's say Bluetooth or something like that, it might have, I don't know, 100,000 searches a month, right? So then that number 1,000 becomes a relative question, right? We don't know. So I generally, when I extract my keywords from various sources, I have 3 criteria. The first criteria is brand analytics. I want to make sure that, so if you know what brand analytics is, it's provided to brand registered sellers. It's a huge database provided by Amazon, showing you which are the most popular keywords. So I actually start with that. That's my number 1 source for keywords that I want to target. And those keywords are generally very high volume keywords. So I will pick those up and put them in bucket 1. My second bucket comes from Helium 10. I do reverse ASIN of my competitors, and I get that list and make it, I put it in a second sheet. My third list is generally merchant words, which is pretty long tail. They give you even 50 searches a month, and some people say that merchant words isn't very reliable, but that's okay. All we want is to get a fair number of keywords that falls in all 3 buckets, so that you're not only targeting the high search volume keywords or only targeting the long tail keywords. You want a good mix of everything to pull your product along, right? So once I've got these 3 lists, I clean them up and I go from the top and I pick the most important ones. And in each criteria, and then I just create separate campaigns to target them. So actually, I while I do cut off at 1,000, but sometimes 1,000 becomes a relative number, if you know what I'm saying. So, yeah.
Yep. Just one quick example. I actually know a guy who shared this with me. From the Helium 10 Cerebro reverse ASIN, he saw a particular keyword search term and it had no search volume. So it's a dash, right? Unknown. But when he read it based on his own human intuition and interpretation, he felt that was a phrase many people would potentially use. And so he put it into an ad campaign. He said 24 hours later, he checked back and there were 12,000 impressions in one day. So don't just that's just an example. Like the third-party tools are very helpful, but you also have to apply some kind of intuition or common sense to some situations. The other thing is I also run campaigns where, for example, I run Cerebro on my own listings, and oftentimes we'll come up with, let's say, 2,000, 3,000 different keyword phrases. Right? And because I have like 400 something campaigns, I don't have time to look at each one. So what I do is sometimes I copy and paste the entire list of like 2,500 keywords from Cerebro into one very low bid campaign. Like I just bid like 20 cents or 10 cents or whatever. And sometimes after a while, you'll see like in a month, wow, this campaign actually generated a number of sales from particular keywords. Then you know, okay, here's some really low hanging fruit that I might have missed. So I have like 1 or 2 campaigns that are just like that, just to go after like really low hanging fruit. And then of course I have the more targeted campaigns, which are the really important keywords that I'm bidding aggressively on.
Right. Yep, low-hanging fruit. That's what we want.
Any other questions? We have a couple of minutes to take maybe one or two more questions. So since nobody's asking, there's one other feature that's really helpful. In PPC Ninja, if you go to the settings, maybe Ritu can share the screen. There's this target ACoS that you can set by account level and also by individual SKU.
Yes, correct.
So that will help then with the bid recommendation. So like with the bid optimizations, where PPC Ninja recommends what bid changes to implement. So like, because for different products, like some of my products, let's say they have a very high profit margin. So then my target ACoS can be higher than those keywords, those SKUs which have a lower profit margin. Then I'll set a relatively lower target ACoS. So that's really helpful on an individual SKU basis.
Correct. Yeah. So you can set your target ACoS at the account level, and then it would just be one percentage that trickles down to everything. Or in addition to that, you could set it at the product level. So then the product will take precedence over whatever you've set at the account level. So in those cases, it would use whatever you've set here. If it's not set, then it'll just absorb whatever is at the campaign level or at the account level.
Okay, I think we can do the last two questions here in the chat. The latest one is from Cheetah. He says he heard that campaigns misbehave when you have more than 10 to 15 keywords per campaign. Is it true or not? For example, like some keywords may just suck up all the bids, leaving the rest not enough budget to run.
Yeah, exactly. So the thing is that, so you can do different strategies, but the thing is that the budget actually decides how much attention Amazon will give to each individual keyword. So the strategy that Jason had just explained, where you keep it at a very low bid and then you keep like a okay budget and just let it run in the background, and who knows what you might discover from that. That is one strategy. It's almost like setting up a passive income stream, like you let it go and then don't worry about it. But for your main campaigns, you have to be mindful of high volume versus long tail keywords. And if you combine those two, it is true that the high volume keywords will suck up your budget, and then the long tail keywords just won't kind of get impressions. So it's kind of nice to have them separated out. So it'll be better for budget utilization.
Right, and last question here from Mabel. Can you where is it? Okay, can you explain on the percentage of top of search placement?
Yes, so Amazon allows you to bid up on top of search placement from 0 to 900%. So if you have a $1 bid, if you put a 900% modifier, it becomes a $10 bid. So that's the way that you can actually capture,
first position.
First position, yeah, if you want to, if you're desperate for ranking. So that's the strategy I generally use for ranking. So I will just have one campaign with just one or two keywords that I want to rank for, and then put a very high top of search modifier so that I can bid high on just those two and get eyeballs and conversions.
I think that also works, or that's a strategy you can employ to appear at top of search if you have certain keywords that are proven, like they convert really well. You know that every 5 people who click, you'll get 1 sale, 20% conversion. So that might make it worthwhile to try to get as many eyeballs as possible using top of search. Okay, that's our last question here from Vincent. He asked about the plans and pricing for PPC Ninja. So I put a link here in the chat. You can click on the link and go to PPC Ninja's page, and the different plans and pricing is all stated there in a table. I think it's easier than explaining verbally, just to see the table. Then one other thing there is, when you go to PPC Ninja's page, you will see from the top menu, there's a link to a mastermind. So Ritu has a mastermind that starts this Saturday, I believe, in Singapore and Perth time. And that's really helpful. I've just finished my 6-week mastermind with Ritu, which is why, because I learned so much from it, which is why I invited her on to talk to you all over these 2 short sessions. And so if you go to the link there, you can, if you do have some sales already on Amazon and you're already running PPC, that's who the mastermind is designed for. If you're completely new, you've not run PPC on Amazon, then the mastermind might be too advanced for you. All right, but you can find out all the info there. And lastly, Harvey asked, is there any promo code for this group?
So I think if you just use Jason's link and join us, then you will, if you join the mastermind actually, so the mastermind gives you 6 weeks of PPC Ninja for free. So that's actually too good to be true. It's 6 weeks of free PPC Ninja usage, and then the first month you get 50% off. So it's a pretty good deal, I think.
And Ritu's mastermind is free as well, so it's incredible value. It's like a intermediate PPC course for free.
Yeah.
All right. So thanks everyone for joining, and thank you Ritu so much for taking the time to share with us over the last 2 days. I will be uploading this recording in a few hours. So I'll share in the various channels on Facebook, etc. So just look out for that if you want to go through yesterday or today's sessions again. And thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.